India is in the middle of one of the biggest shakeups to its criminal justice system in, well, modern history. We're talking about a whole set of laws, some stretching back to the colonial era, that are being completely replaced. All right, let's dive into this massive overhaul and see what it's all about. So what's at the heart of this big change? It's the procedure itself, the actual rule book for how things are done. We're moving away from the old Code of Criminal Procedure, the CRPC from 1973, to the brand new Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, or BNSS, of 2023. And trust me, this is way more than just a name change. It's a fundamental rethinking of how criminal justice is supposed to work. So you might be asking, why such a drastic change? Why tear up the old rulebook and start fresh? Well, to really get why the new law is so important, we've got to first take a look at what was broken with the old one. A huge part of the problem was just its age. The core DNA of India's criminal procedure had its roots planted way back in the British colonial period. Sure, it got an update in 1973, but the basic logic was still from a totally different time, designed for a totally different purpose. And that age really started to show in some serious, well-known problems. Justice was often painfully slow thanks to these long, drawn-out procedural delays. Police investigations were often stuck using outdated methods, and the courts, they were just drowning under a massive backlog of cases. And maybe most importantly, the system was never designed to handle modern technology, which created all sorts of bottlenecks. And that's exactly where the new law comes in. The BNSS was created as a direct answer to all those challenges, with the goal of building a justice system that actually belongs in the 21st century. The whole point of the BNSS is right there in the description, to modernize and simplify. It's designed to give the entire criminal procedure a top-to-bottom refresh, from the moment an investigation starts to the very end of a trial, making it way more efficient and relevant for today's world. This quote really hits the nail on the head. At the end of the day, the goal of any good criminal procedure is to find that perfect balance between enforcing the law and protecting people's rights. It's all about ensuring a fair trial, because that's what builds public trust in the whole system. Okay, let's get into the specifics. Two of the absolute biggest upgrades in the BNSS can be boiled down to two key pillars: making technology mandatory and putting everyone on a much stricter clock. The push for technology is, wow, it's everywhere. We're talking about everything from filing documents electronically to the mandatory audio and video recording of police searches and seizures. Court proceedings can now happen over video, and even official summons can be delivered digitally. It's a complete digital overhaul. But this isn't just about saving paper or making things move a little faster. It's much, much bigger than that. This digital-first approach is all about creating an evidence trail that's more transparent, more reliable, and frankly, a lot harder to tamper with. It's all about accountability. And that second pillar is time. To fight those infamous delays, the BNSS basically puts a stopwatch on the justice system. For some offenses, a preliminary inquiry has to be done within 14 days. Investigations have mandatory deadlines. And for certain very serious cases, the trial has to wrap up within 2 months of charges being filed. Now let's shift gears and look at the human side of all this. The BNSS really tries to strike a new, more modern balance between protecting the rights of someone accused of a crime and, at the same time, empowering the victims. First up, let's talk about the accused. The law reinforces those fundamental rights. You have to be told why you're being arrested, you get to talk to a lawyer, and you have to be brought before a judge within 24 hours. But it also adds some important new protections. Now, this next one is a really big deal: the use of handcuffs. Under the BNSS, handcuffing is no longer just a routine thing. It's now restricted to very specific and serious situations, like if someone is a repeat offender, has escaped custody, or committed a major violent crime. This is a huge move aimed at protecting individual dignity. Now let's flip the coin, because the law also brings in massive new powers for victims. For starters, the very definition of who counts as a victim is broader. They now have a legal right to get regular updates on how their case is progressing. Plus, the law mandates compensation and witness protection programs to give them real support. And one of the most powerful tools here is something called a zero FIR. So what's that? It means a victim can report a crime at any police station, period. It doesn't matter if that station has jurisdiction or not. This is a total game changer, because it removes a huge roadblock for people trying to report a crime and forces the police to take immediate action.
Okay, so we've covered the tech, the timelines, and the rights. But let's bring it all home. What does all this actually mean for the average person who might, one day, have to interact with the justice system?
When you boil it all down, the new system is really aiming for three big things. First, speed, using those strict timelines to finally tackle the backlog. Second, transparency, by making digital records and video evidence central to the whole process. And third, fairness, by finding that better, more modern balance between the rights of the accused and the rights of the victim.
Ultimately, the BNSS is a massive step towards dragging a system that was long overdue for an update into the modern age. The framework on paper is absolutely designed to be faster, more transparent, and fairer. But the big question remains, how will this ambitious plan actually work on the ground? Because, let's be honest, a modern law on paper is one thing. Delivering that faster, fairer justice in practice, well, that's the real challenge ahead.